What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, or welcoming me back to you guys. Thank you for allowing me to come into your house via YouTube. So we're gonna get right to it. Like I said before, definitely not a clickbaiter. I am going to give it to you direct. I think this is so much easier to, like, if you look at the video and say, what is he talking about? And it literally says he's talking about tight ends, but then it's speculation and I don't know, whatever thoughts, excuse me, of people could be thinking, I guess, dreaming up. And then it has, I don't know. I just don't know. I just see that so much in some of the videos that are posted that you like, oh, let me click on and see what this is about, and something about something totally different. But it's designed to get you to look onto the video and to click on it, maximize views or whatever the case may be. I'm not sure. Anyway, so like I said in the short that I posted, there is something that I wanted to talk about, and it is this. So this is a question, and I thought to myself, and I was like, oh yeah. And as I said in the short, that I'm definitely gonna post up some plays that I think illustrate how Miami's tight end room, which is very unique this year, is going to have the opportunity to do some really great things. I think that obviously Shannon Dawson, being an air raid disciple and a coach, you know, we're going to talk about some of the sets that are used, that are common in today's college as well as NFL, but specifically directed towards Miami. So we're definitely going to get into a little bit of that, and we won't keep you long. It doesn't need to be long, I guess, long and drawn out. Just, hey, this is what I think. And as always, my invitation is that, hey, if you have some ideas, something to talk about, please hit me up in the comments, and I try to answer all the comments in a timely fashion. Of course, I work just like you work, so, we get to them. Sometimes we can get to them sooner than other. Sometimes I may not, but please bear with me. But again, so this is a communal thing. It's us working together, being fans in this whole Miami community, Miami Hurricane community, Miami Hurricane universe, Miami Hurricane family. So yeah, so that's the question that I posed right there, is how can the tight end room be dynamic? So definitely want to get into that. And I'm going to give you some illustrations of how that can be. Hi, everybody, real quick. So this is a new channel. This is new content. I am your host, Curtis. Generally, I'm here with the Michigan bro, Jonathan, giving you some Miami Hurricane sports content, just updating things that are going on and our opinions. We're just fans like anyone else. So if you like the content, please join in the conversation. We'd appreciate your comments, your thoughts, opinions, even advice. And let's get back to the show. So. All right, so what I was thinking is the best way to illustrate it. Let's start with, I would suppose, I'm going to get it on the screen as I can work my finger magic here. What would be something or helpful for us to understand, and then we'll actually get into the play. So I just need to change one thing right here, and let me do that. Bingo, and change one more thing, and then we could jump right into this. Get us started in the right direction. Okay, so when I say tight end groupings, let's start learning a little bit of the terminology that is used, and then from the terminology, we'll be able to go forward. So the first thing is I'm going to put up on the screen, you can see on the right or the left hand, is this concept of usages. So that's important. So as we look at that, it gives you an idea of the terminology that I'm going to be using. And this is going to be very helpful, I think, in understanding how the tight ends are going to be used. As I put something else on the screen. And then from there, as you can see right there, the different groupings. Let's go to the next slide, or So now you see multiples, right? Where you see all different types of plays. If I were to like explain it to you, what you're seeing on the screen, I don't know that it's difficult. So you see personnel groupings and NFL usage frequency, and you see the different, like you see like 1 personnel, 2 personnel, 3, 4, and you see, well, actually in this scale, you see going all the way up until 32, and those are different types of groupings, and then that shows you the shades and things of that nature. Now, the thing that I want you to pay attention to is this personnel recognition. So you see a zero personnel, which means you got 5 wide receivers. You see 1 personnel, which you got 1 running back and 4 wide receivers, and then 10 personnel, and so forth and so on. So you just follow that chart, right? Let's go back to that original grouping. And this one, you're able to see kind of what they say: regular 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 2 running back. You say ace. You hear that in a lot of some of the state of the game as people break down film. You say the ace gun set, 2 wide receivers, 2 tight ends, 1 running back, and then you see posse, 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 running back, which is something that Miami does an awful lot, if you remember, because Malachi Tony is in the slot, and then you had Keelan Mario set out wide, and then you had C.J. Daniels on the right-hand side. And so that was there. And the tight end, of course, generally was Alex Baldwin, because at the time, Elijah Lofton wasn't quite as successful or effective blocking, but then they switched personnel groupings. And then personnel grouping again, you see that jet, where it's 4 wide receivers, 1 ride. Didn't see Miami do too much of that, but you did see the Houston where they had 3 wide receivers and 2 running backs, because you say Chamar and Fletcher in the backfield, or it was Pringle and Fletcher, or Chamar and Pringle, and vice versa. And then you'd have that King set where it'd be 4 wide receivers and 1 tight end. Now that set you saw a lot in 2024 with Cam Ward, because you had Elijah Royal was able to stretch the defense as a tight end. And that's the reason that I'm bringing this up, is that I think now with the tight end room that Miami has, you're going to have Mueller coming in 6'6" or 6'7". I think he has a verified 4'5" or 4'6", and then you have Luka Gilbert 6'7", 6'8", and then of course you have the Swiss Army knife Elijah Lofton. So I think that all of these are going to be assets that will change a lot the way Shannon Dawson. Now he's an air raid disciple. Excuse me. And so there's also the pro raid. So I think that Shannon's going to be mixing it up, especially with Darian Mensah now being tentative. Got to get through training camp. Everybody got to be healthy as the starting quarterback. I think you're going to be able to see a lot of different personnel groupings, unlike last year where it was just pretty much the same personnel grouping all the time. But I think this year, with the amount of wide receivers and or the skill position, so you have Cooper Barcate, you have Cam Vaughn, you have Andrevius Jacobs, you have Josh Moore. You no longer have Joe J. Trader, but you had Dylan Upshaw coming in. You also have, as another wide receiver, Milan Paris and Samarian Wengo, Tariq Evans coming in. So you're going to be able to really amp up the tempo, amp up the process, because you can go 4 wide receivers, and I think they'll actually literally play 8 wide receivers. But you also have these 3 tight ends that are unique in their ability to get upfield, block, they can do different things. And the reason that I say that it's important is I'm going to switch over to this page here. So if you look to the left and you read this, so using 3 tight end formation, basically otherwise known as 13 personnel, 1 running back, 3 tight ends, and a wide receiver, is generally very effective if you can read along this right here, because it creates these complex matchups. So if you want to stay in like Indiana did, they were in basic 4-3. You're gonna have 3 linebackers on, but the tight ends that Miami has are not only have the ability to block, they have the ability to run and catch. Lofton can put in the backfield, as well as they have the ability to get upfield with speed. So this is going to be something that I think is very unique for what Miami has. If everyone's healthy, and if Shannon Dawson does what I think he's going to do, of course, I'm not in the room, I don't know what he's going to do, but I think that this is going to be advantageous for Miami, specifically once they get in the red zone or once they pass the 40 or coming out of their own end zone. This is going to be a set that's going to be very problematic for defenses to deal with. So you can see right here, you're still going to have the dominant running game, which Miami is known for, obviously, but you're also going to be able to exploit the defenses through the air to outmatch smaller defensive backs. Safeties will have to cover, and this should be good. So, like it says, you can maximize your run defense, and it's going to be a pick your poison, and you can disguise formations. As it says right here, tight ends can actually be in line, or they could split them out. Like a guy like Mueller, you can split him out, or Lofton, you can split him out. Or Luka Gilbert, you can split him out because they're going to have size advantages. Much like Josh Moore, you're going to be able to throw a lot more jump balls to your tight ends. You'll have a linebacker out in space covering somebody, which is traditionally not something that they do well. So this could be interesting. And then, of course, you'll be able to use play action because the ability to Miami to run the ball, particularly when Fletcher's in the game, you go power. And there's a couple things that you can do. You can do stretch zone. You can do cutback. You can still run duo. You could run just a stretch man blocking system. So with 3 tight ends, everybody going left or everybody going right, or duo, and then moving up to the second level and getting the linebackers. This is going to be something you see a lot. Stanford in their glory days, I guess not glory days, but you saw Stanford use a lot of that against Miami last year. So I think that you'll have red zone dominance by using these 3 tight end sets, and you'll force the defense to have some really, really strange alignment because what do? You're going to have tight ends that can pass, catch, run, or block. So that's going to be very interesting. So coming out of that prep, that gives us a little foundation of what we're going to talk about. Now, let's go into the groupings themselves, and let's get this up here. So we have that up there, and so now you see 0 personnel, and you could also see with 0 personnel you have 5 wide receivers. Remember what I just said. So imagine if you have Josh Moore on the field, you have Cooper Bakate, you have Tony who can go in the backfield or go in the slot. You have Van Spatford, and you have Vandrevis Jacobs, Cam Vaughn, Samorian Wingo, Milan Paris. You're gonna have a lot of groupings. Let's move to the next personnel package, the 0-1, as you can see on the screen. So in this personnel package, you can see right there, you have, except one of the 5 receivers is now a tight end. So imagine taking that guy Mueller, and now he's a tight end, and he's also offline. So you have 4 wide receivers and a tight end. So that's a good personnel package. I think that you'll see Miami will definitely be mixing it up. I believe they will be. I think they will. And then you have 2 personnel coming up. The next one right here, and you have 2 tight ends on the field and 1 running back. And you could still put these 2 tight ends in the slot. Like you can put Mueller in the slot. You can put Lofton in the spot. You can put Gilbert in the slot. You can put Barkati out there, or Vandrevis Jacob and Cam Vaughn. You'll have a lot of different personnel groupings that you can do. And the great thing about different personnel groupings, nobody knows what's coming because you're not using the same set all the time. And then, of course, you have the 10 personnel, which is the very common, like lower level high school football as well. So then you have the 1 running back, the tight end, 2 wide receivers, which you saw a lot that Miami did. So you always had either Lofton or Bauman on the field with Keelan Marion and what's his name, Malachi Tony and C.J. Daniels. So you saw them in that set a lot. Then of course you had the 11 personnel where you had the 2 backs, right? You had keep both running back and tight end and pass blocks. So you also saw Fletcher and Pringle, or Fletcher or Jamar and Fletcher, or in this case Jordan Lyle and Shamar. So you have that in 11 personnel. And then getting down to some other personnel, you get 13 personnel, which is the one that we're going to talk about. 1 running back and 3 tight ends. This basically says that you're going to run, but with Miami's case, because they have a lot of dynamic tight ends, again, Gilbert, Mueller, Lofton, or even Rusevich, they're going to be able to call power plays as well as go deep down the field, corner plays, slot plays, seam plays, throw it out into the flat, because all guys are big, they can catch the ball, and they can run. These are the main ones right here, but let's just, for the sake of argument, keep going down, right? So then you got 20 personnel, as you can see right there. This is another flexible. You can run that out of the pistol, which you'll see a lot with Fletcher, with the tight end in the backfield. You might see some of that going on. Of course, you do 21 personnel. 11 and 21 are more popular, but you'll see the 21 personnel right there, where you have just a normal 2 running back, a fullback, a tight end, 2 wide receivers. You don't see that too much with Miami unless they're down in the goal line. And then there's 22 personnel right here for when you want to have a lead blocker, and 23 personnel, and then 30 personnel. All right, so that gives us that. Now what I'm going to show you is my concept. That's why I said this is going to be fast. Let's see if I can get it up on the screen. Alouette, je te alouette. Let's see right here. I do have it on the screen, and the personnel groupings, we don't need that anymore. So, all right, yeah, here we go. All right. So now you see, this is my concept. These are my plays. I kind of just draw it up, right? So the first play at the top, you see 3 tight ends, right? G stands for Gilbert, Luka Gilbert. L stands for Lofton. M stands for Mueller. So you see this switch release right here, which Miami does do sometimes. So you get the switch release with Gilbert and Lofton, and then you get Mueller coming across the coming across the middle off a play action out of the I formation or out of the pistol, however you want to do it. And then, of course, you get this deep dig going across. So it's a very easy read for the quarterback. I think it puts the defense in conflict because the ability to run, right? If you go a fake stretch, in this case, it would be left, right? And then at the same time, you're getting a switch release for your tight ends, and then you're getting a tight end coming back to the backside. This is going to be a situation where I think it's going to be very helpful for Miami to be able to get their tight ends deep. Of course, it's coming out of a run formation, so you have to guard against the run, and I think that that's going to be a good formation from Miami, as well as right here. If you go to the other side, to the strong side, it's the field side, you're gonna have Mueller and Gilbert, and then you're gonna have Lofton on the right hand side. So this is gonna be an interesting play again, because if you go, you fake either RPO to Fletcher, and then you have Mueller running what do you call it, over corner, as well as the wide receiver, because you're going to be holding that linebacker on that side. You can run a nice little dig or square him right behind him, or if you want to check out of it and throw it to the flat to Luka Gilbert at the same. I think this is going to be great, particularly in these formations, because most defense will think that you're going to run the ball. So I like to do this. You can run, like I said, you can run zone, you can run stretch, and then you also have the pass element behind it. And then these other two right here, the top one, if you look again, so you have, offset, right? Formation, and you have 2 tight ends on the right. You can run off a play action. You can run that tight end straight up the field and get in that seam between the safety and the corner. And it all depends on what type of defense that you're seeing. So if you're, in this case, let's just hypothetically speaking, that the defense goes into cover 3. Well, the seam between the safety and the cornerback or defensive back should be available, especially off a play action pass. And at the same time, you can get a tight end coming from one side of the field to the other side underneath, because now that safety has already backed out, and now you can get that tight end number 1, Gilbert, coming across into the flats. Or if you don't like any of that, you still have the deep tight end going across, because if it's cover 1 and your corner backed off, your safety backed off, once you do play action pass, that tight end is going to get above. He's going to go on top of those. He's going to get on top of those linebackers and in front of that safety. So then you can get him a deep crossing pass. Then the second one right there, you see it's an option where this is going to be great, because once you're in this position, in this formation, it's basically a run formation, right? The quarterback's in shotgun. If you shift your tight end out, that gives you an opportunity to see what the defense is going to do. And if you shift out Mueller, 6'6", runs a 4.5. Now, if a linebacker goes out to cover him, that's a great, that's a mismatch. Then you can throw definitely a 9 route to him. At the same time, you get your wide receiver running up in the seam, holding the defensive back and the safety. So that's possible. Or if you don't like that, you could just do an RPO and just get him out in the flat, or in the other corner. And then the final one is a tight end screen post, which I like to think about this, because this, I think this is called is it Y sail? I forgot exactly what a normal air raid offense would call it. So generally, the tight end would go to the flat, but instead of doing that, if you roll your quarterback to the left or to the right, and depending on how you're seeing it on your screen, your wide receiver is still running a 9. So if you run it, let's say if you're running cover 2 or cover 4. Now against cover 4, you're going to have everybody playing a quarter. But let's say it is cover 3. So the wide receiver in the slot will draw the safety coming down on cover 1 or cover 2, right? Because in cover 2, the middle of the field is the weak point between the two safeties. In cover one, it's going to be the middle. The strength of the strength of the defense is going to be the safety being able to bite down. But if the safety bites down in cover three, so let's say your defensive back is guarding wide receiver to the strong side, and then you got a wide receiver all the way out the X out to the open side of the field. Well, you're going to be able to get this shot if you want to, because the wide receiver in the slot, Tony, would then draw coverage from the safety coming down, and the backside, the wide receiver will have leverage on the defender in cover three because he'll be running his route to the inside. And once he makes his post, it's just a very simple read. If the safety comes down, you take the post. If the safety stays back, then you take the wide receiver. But to add that little wrinkle to it, if the tight end blocks and then goes to the other side of the formation, you should have a wide open screen. That should get a lot of yards as the defense drop back, because then you'll have two blockers and a tight end running out them. You might get a 20-yard play, which would be pretty good. But anyway, this is my concept of why I believe that Miami should do really, really well with these three tight ends, because they're going to be able to put defenses in conflict. You're going to have Lofton, Gilbert, and what's the other one now? You have Lofton, Gilbert, and Mueller, the tight end that's coming in, as well as Rusevich. So I think that Shannon Dawson, this is what I think. I don't know that he'll actually do this, but I think that the Miami Hurricanes will run some three tight end sets. I also think that they will go 5 wide. I also think that they will go 4 wide. And I think they will go 5 wide with Tony in the backfield, and then bring Tony out of the backfield on either side on the slot. You go 2 by 2, and then Tony could be your pivot man. So I think with Darian Mintz as the quarterback, you have a new line. I think they will go up tempo, and I think the tight ends I think that they will have this ability to be very dynamic, get a lot of chunk plays, being as blockers, pass catchers, runners. So I think Miami has a unique team, a lot of talent. So we're going to see what happens. But guys, what do you think about this? What do you think about these concepts and how these plays would look with the Miami Hurricanes? If you have some ideas of what you think they should do, or how they think they will attack defenses as the team gets accustomed to acclimated to each other, and more accustomed to the playbook, I think it will open up a lot more of the field with these different personnel packages. So definitely hit me up in the comments, or put something in. Not hit me up, but put something in the comments. I'll try to respond, and it doesn't matter if we agree or disagree. You might have a totally different opinion, but I just think that this would be something that would be beneficial for them going forward. That's pretty much all that I have for right now. I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to me. You see my hats out there, my dirty Nike hat, which is my favorite hat. And I will see you guys on the next one. So long.